Steyn has made on his affidavit versus what he has said, and he simply blames a typing error for that, but sticks to the fact that what he has submitted is truthful. And yes, there are some errors in terms of the actual times. One being the phone call that was made on the 15th of October, and on the 2nd of October, according to more data. It happened a few hours after that now changing to the 3rd of August 2014 as opposed to the 2nd. So they're going through rectifying some of his errors right now.
Any indication as to how long Colonel Steyn will still be on the stand, Pearl?
Well, he did indicate that he's available for the rest of the week because he doesn't live in the province, and like I said, he has not been in quite healthy. He was in hospital a few weeks ago, so the court is very conscious of the fact that they need to go through this week so that they can give him a chance to go back to his life as he's retired right now and take care of his health. So we're just hoping that by Friday everybody else is able to finish with the cross-examination. But I must add that there were slight delays this morning as the judge had to take about 45 minutes going through what is decorum or the rightful way to treat each other in court, as there was a slight altercation between Charles Mnisi and Steyn based on them trying to rectify these discrepancies on his affidavit. So he just reminded everybody to just respect themselves and respect everyone in their opinion or the evidence that they give in court.
Pearl Makubane, thanks so much for the update. That's the latest from the Senzo murder trial.
Update at noon, midday to 1 p.m.
Well, it is 20 minutes after 12 o'clock, and please let us know what your thoughts are on some of the stories, some of the updates that we've brought you, and of course anything else that may be on your mind. And just trying to get in touch with some of our other reporters following some of the other stories for us, and Zoleka Kodashe just doing some work for us in terms of the MK party, quite a bit of interest in what's going to happen there as well. And then of course also just trying to find out what the latest in Soweto. But moving to this story now, where a Sebokeng family in the south of Johannesburg say that they are battling to deal with the loss of their 3 children who passed away at Everton Primary School on Monday after falling ill. Now, according to the Provincial Education Department, this tragic incident of the 3 children, 2 of whom are siblings, unfolded on Monday after one of them was brought to the sick bay at school. Now, in a separate incident, a grade 8 learner from Tsakane Secondary School in Eguruleni allegedly ingested rat poison during school hours. Nonhlanhla Chingila filed this report.
The family befallen by tragedy. 3 of its children, including a cousin, are no more. The children reportedly mentioned that they had eaten pap with milk at home, but also claimed that they were given biscuits by their stepdad on their way to school. The children's mother, Dibuseng Mukhatla, expressed her heartfelt emotions. Children always visited me during weekends and he stopped it, so they would only come during fortnight. But then he stopped it as well and eventually cancelled their visits. Then I decided to move out and stay with my kids. A family member, Alina Manana, says the mother and stepfather were experiencing relationship difficulties before the incident occurred. I told her that it's not okay to be with a person who wants her but not her children. Why don't you leave him? So the mother had planned to move out when this incident unfortunately happened. The school's governing body member, Patience Kolweni, says they are still in disbelief. We are shattered because having to lose 3 children at the same time has impacted on us heavily. Especially the school kids, they were not coping after they heard the tragic news. According to the department, all 3 learners were rushed to a nearby clinic, where tragically they were declared dead. Gauteng Education Department spokesperson Steve Mabona elaborates.
The
The incident unfolded at about 8 o'clock in the morning when a grade 4 class teacher brought a sick boy learner to the sick bay that is in the administration block. Despite immediate assistance, the learner was unresponsive. Emergency services and the learner's mother were swiftly called to come to the school. In a distressing turn of events, the learner's sibling, now we're talking about a grade 3 girl learner, was also brought to the sick bay, and she mentioned that they actually ate pap, milk and some biscuits at home. A third sibling, a grade 5 girl learner now, was also found to be unresponsive, also rushed to the sick bay, and immediately all these learners were rushed to a local medical facility, and tragically they were all declared dead.
The family of the 3 deceased children say they will be laid to rest on Sunday. Gauteng police are looking into the death of the grade 8 pupil from Tsakani Secondary School. Nonhlanhla Ntshingila for SABC News, Sebokeng.
Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo, midday to 1 p.m.
That's 25 minutes after 12 now. The South African Police Services are investigating the death of a 4-year-old at a daycare centre in Boksburg. The creche is reportedly not forthcoming as to what exactly happened, only saying that they realized that the baby wasn't breathing when it was time for a nappy change. But for more on this, we join on the line by the deceased child's family representative, Robin Mbonani. Robin, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Update at Noon.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for having me.
I think first off, Robin, our sincere, most heartfelt condolences to you and to the family because, this is the one thing that no parent should ever have to experience.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your well wishes. And the child was actually 4 months.
4 months.
Yes, 4 months.
Okay. Robin, please just give us a sense of what happened, because I must say I was alerted to your plight by someone who said the family is just looking to amplify so that they can get answers. So,
of course,
give us a sense of what happened, because I understand this happened yesterday.
This happened yesterday. So my sister got a call from the creche around 3:30 in the afternoon, saying to her, "Hurry, your child is not breathing," and then they hung up the phone. And then my sister then proceeded to calling me, saying to me, "Can you please go check?" They saying that my child is not breathing because my sister works in Randburg, and at the time I was the person closest to the creche. I then quickly rushed to the creche. By the time I got there were paramedics waiting outside, and you could tell that something was up. The first question I asked was, "Where is my nephew?" And I got the famous line that says, "Sorry, we tried all we could." No one spoke to us from the creche. We asked them. The only thing that we were told was that they realized that the child was not breathing when it was time for nappy change. My sister then arrived, I think around 4:30, and then as soon as she picked up the body, the child had milk coming out of his nostrils. The child had milk coming out of the mouth. So they shared a footage, but now there are bits and pieces of the footage that is missing. The one that they shared with us, you can see a teacher taking a bottle and placing it in the court where this child was sleeping. She then proceeded to taking another child, and her focus was then now on this child that she was carrying. Every now and then she went back to adjust the bottle. Eventually she stopped adjusting it. So we are suspecting that the child was actually sorry.
Please take your time. Please take your time.
Because the child had milk coming out of the nose and the mouth. Something happened during that feeding process. Because now this teacher says to us, she only realized when it was time for nappy change, but you can literally see on the footage that she's panicking. As soon as she went down to grab the child, she was already on panic mode. If your intentions are to just change a baby's nappy, by the time you go down, you don't grab the child from a point of panic. She went in already grabbing the child, and then she started, I don't know, shaking or trying to resuscitate the child. And apparently this happened around 2-3. And my sister was only called at 3:30. Now my question is, what were you guys doing in that hour? One of you could have taken the child, put the child in a car, and rushed the child to hospital. The school has not spoken to us. The school has not reached out to us. The school have done nothing. So now as a family, we are left with unanswered questions. We want answers. We want to know what happened to.
Oh, Robin, I'm so sorry.
We just want answers, guys. We want justice for the 4-month baby. Somebody needs to take accountability. The crash, somebody needs to be accountable for what happened yesterday.
Absolutely.
Somebody needs to be accountable. Something needs to happen.
Totally. Robin, I'm so sorry for your loss and what your family is going through at this time. And, hopefully we will be able to follow up with the police as well, just to get a sense of where this investigation is for, as you say, you need accountability. And has the daycare center still not spoken to your family to give their account?
Nothing. We've heard nothing from them. No one has. The daycare is about, I think, 7 minutes from my sister's house. Somebody could have come to show that you are remorseful of what happened yesterday. You know what made me angry the most yesterday? They had a group of trauma counselors. Apparently, there were 6 of them. There was this one lady, because now I was busy questioning these footages that they're busy sharing with us. I said to them, the time intervals, there's a gap in between the time intervals, right? The trauma counselor, the person that was supposed to be counseling us as family, she then said to one of the teachers, get away from unnecessary drama. So us wanting answers, we've been unnecessary. Us wanting answers, we've been dramatic.
And no, you're not. And hopefully we will be able to assist you in trying to get those answers that you deserve. Robin, just another question that I want to ask you, and please take your time. But one of the things that was said in the communication that was sent to me was that it seemed when you got to the daycare center that the caretaker, who's the person who placed that bottle in the cot, she seems to have been beaten up. Her face seemed battered.
Yes, she had a blue eye on her one eye, and she kept wiping it when we got there, right? So the first question was, because now we're confused as to, did you get the beating today, or was this now? Or you came to school looking like that? And then she proceeded to say, no, this happened yesterday. My boyfriend hit me. So my question is, how do you then expect a person that is emotionally not stable to look after? I mean, you just experienced a traumatic event the previous day, the previous night, and then you come to school and you're expected to give your 100% looking after kids. Is it possible? You cannot do that. It's highly impossible. And that's the very same person that placed that bottle in the court.
We will certainly endeavor from our side. Have the police said anything to your family at this stage, Robin?
Nothing. No, nothing. They've said nothing so far. So they say to us, they're waiting for the postmortem results. So now the husband, my sister's husband, which is their dad, he left in the morning to try and get those results, hopefully by today, so that we can actually get the answers we need. We need to know what happened to the baby. So I'm just waiting for the dad now to come back, and then we then take it from there, because the police have also not gotten in touch with us. on the grounds that they're waiting for the post-mortem results.
All right, we'll also follow up from our side. Robin, my gratitude to you for your bravery in speaking to us, and once again our heartfelt condolences to you, your sister, her husband, the family, and also, we will keep in touch. Let us know if there's anything that you require from us, but certainly we will try and follow up to make sure that you get the answers that you deserve as a family. That was the aunt of a 4-month-old baby who sadly passed away yesterday at a daycare center in Boksburg. And as you heard there from Robin Mbonani, they haven't had any answers, not from the daycare. They haven't heard anything from the police, and it is out of sheer desperation that the family is reaching out so that someone speaks to them and gives them answers as to what happened to her 4-month-old nephew. Right, it's time to get to those news headlines. Here's Dineo Motau.
Thank you very much, Sakina. A very good afternoon. Let's take a look at the headlines at 12:30. Former National Assembly Speaker Baleka Mbete has denied that she protected former President Jacob Zuma in Parliament while he was head of state. In other news, the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Schreiber, says nearly 600,000 identity documents are uncollected at offices countrywide. And Sudan says it will not be present in talks that are set to begin in Geneva to try to end 16 months of brutal conflict in the country. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
It's a Wednesday, so our analyst is from ABSA, and today it's Simpiwe Letlojane, investment strategist at ABSA Investments. Good afternoon, Simpiwe.
Good afternoon, Sakina. We are seeing some positivity in our local markets today. We're seeing the all share that's up about 0.8%, currently trading above 81,500 points. We're seeing all sectors in the green, gains being led by financials. That's up about 1.0%, whilst both resources and industrials are up about 0.8687% or so. Also seeing a bit of negativity when we're looking at Asian markets, seeing the Shanghai Composite down 0.6% there, whilst the Hang Seng is down 0.35%, whilst in Europe markets are slightly more upbeat, seeing the FTSE 100 in the UK, that's up 0.3%, whilst the Euro Stoxx is more or less flat, slightly in the negative currently. When we're looking at the US markets, we saw those markets closing in positive territory yesterday, so they were up about 1.6%. This is of course ahead of the US inflation print that we'll be expecting in a few hours, and of course the indication that continues to give in terms of the monetary policy pathway. Of course, markets are increasingly pricing in a September cut, but definitely looking forward to seeing what those developments will be. In terms of the rand, we're seeing that regaining some of its losses. It currently trading much closer to that 18 USD ZAR mark, so trading around 18.06 to rands to the dollar. And then in terms of company releases that we've seen this week, we have seen Sasol releasing their trading statement, so they're expecting to see headline earnings declining, and in fact expecting to record some losses, and those mainly being in relation to impairments of assets such as their American chemical operations, as well as some local chemical operations, particularly in Secunda. Of course, the share has been quite under pressure year to date. It is down by more than 20%. And then on a local economic front, we did see unemployment surprising negatively, and unfortunately that did worsen to 33.5% in the latest quarter from 32.4% in the prior quarter. We also did see a bit of mixed production data in terms of mining and manufacturing. We saw manufacturing that is said to contribute positively to GDP due to strong production numbers in April, even as we saw declines both in May and June. Whilst when we're looking at mining, that is said to actually contribute negatively to the latest GDP following that 1.6% month-on-month decline we saw in June. But of course, going forward, both sectors may begin to benefit from improved energy supply, as well as any improvement in terms of some of the challenges that we've been facing in our ports. However, demand propensities both locally and globally do remain fairly subdued. Thank you.
Thank you, Simpiwe Letlojane, investment strategist at APSA Investments.
Feel Good Fridays just got even better with a brand new Espresso newsletter, the Feel Good Fix. Delivered to your inbox every Friday, it is your weekly dose of joy, entertainment, and local flair. Subscribe now at expressoshow.com and never miss a moment.
From heartwarming stories to tasty recipes, it's all there waiting for you. And remember to tune in to the Espresso Morning Show weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on S3, and let's start your day right and channel your inner feel good.
Another day, another set of challenges. In a world driven by shifting demands, environment, social and governance, what guides your decision making? We need a new generation of ethical leaders who have their eye on the bigger picture, who are not daunted by change but inspired by it. Let Wits Business School guide your leadership journey. With our postgraduate programs, you can play a role in Africa's sustainable future. Apply today and make 2025 your year of impact. Visit wbs.ac.za for more.
Victory in the opening match always sets a good tone, and that's what the Gunners of London are gunning for.
They've almost scored! Kai Havertz! And Arsenal have won it late on.
Meanwhile, the Wolves are on a real mission to howl for 90 minutes in search of essential 3 points.
Wolves have a second! And listen to the noise!
This is the Premier League. Witness the thrilling encounter between Arsenal FC and Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, 17 August at 3 p.m. Live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
SAFM Sport with John Gerika.
Now that the Olympic Games are gone, I don't know, what sport do you have to
I'm just making stuff up now. Yeah. I'm not. Springboks are preparing for their test match against Australia. Protea is in action as well this weekend. A much-changed Springbok side, named by coach Rassie Erasmus yesterday. That's for the second test against Australia in Perth on Saturday. Sharks back Lukanya who normally competes with Jesse Creel for the number 13 jersey. He's been named at number 12. Has been fighting injuries, but feels that he's back.
Injuries is part of the game, and I've just been unfortunate on picking up, injuries at a crucial time, which kind of like put me in a very awkward position with the Springboks and at the Sharks. So I'm really happy where I'm at currently, being fit and being able to play. Really looking forward for this test.
Tony De Zorzi was the star batter for the Proteas in the first drawn test against the West Indies last weekend. Tomorrow, the second test starts on the South American continent. They're in Providence in Guyana. De Zorzi's looking for his first test century, and maybe this adventure will help.
Look, I've enjoyed the food in the Caribbean, to be honest. I think it's really nice. I think everything coming off, okay, obviously Guyana's not necessarily an island, it's part of the landmass, but I feel like the food and stuff is pretty natural. And not as, not as much like preservatives and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like the food is really nice, really, really healthy. I played a little bit with Chemo at SA20, so I'll maybe link up with him and he'll show me a few places to look at and maybe a few touristy things, a hike, something like that. But I wouldn't say there's necessarily anything in specific that I'm looking to do. I know they have their own like Vic Falls or Niagara Falls yet, but I think it's quite far away, so I don't think I'll be able to get there.
Tough life of a cricket player.
Yeah, very tough.
White ball head coach Rob Walters named his 15-player squad for the upcoming 3-match T20 series against the West Indies. That starts next month. Dolphins all-rounder Jason Smith and Lions fast bowler Kwena Mpaka have received the maiden call-ups for the national side. 18-year-old Mpaka, meanwhile, part of the ICC Under-19's Men's World Cup 24. Lions spinner Klaber Peter, who made his T20 debut against the West Indies in May, has been ruled out of the series. He's in the final phase of recovery from a shoulder injury. League Cup action continues today in England. Hull take on Sheffield, Cheltenham go to Plymouth, and Middlesbrough go to Leeds, probably the big game at 9. Meanwhile, Manchester United have spent some money. They've signed Matthias de Ligt and Nusse Mazraoui from Bayern Munich. Fees for the pair weren't disclosed, but They're worth about 1.39 billion rand. If you do the conversions. Right?
Are they worth it is the question.
Sure, 1.39 billion rand. Dana White, the CEO and president of the UFC, is already looking ahead to the next big matchup. He announced yesterday that the winner of Sunday's Dricus du Plessis-Israel Adesanya fight will meet former champion Sean Strickland. Remember, du Plessis beat Strickland to get this fight. White also dropped a little hint.
You have one of these situations where both guys, everything is on the line, especially because they dislike each other so much. And if he can beat Izzy and bring that belt back to South Africa, obviously, we'll do an event there.
Obviously. Right. Meanwhile, du Plessis says he'll be escorted by Springboks Siya Kolisi and Eben Esterhuizen into the ring in Perth on Sunday morning. Starts 6 o'clock or thereabouts. Ladies Tour de France, Demi Vollering took the win in the third stage of the Tour de France Femme with a sublime individual time trial performance in Rotterdam. She wears the yellow jersey today after beating world time trial champion Chloe Daiger into second place by 5 seconds. Today's stage, 122 kilometers long, includes 8 categorized climbs. And Gaten McKenzie, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, was making a lot of promises about the Olympics yesterday. He also said that the ministry is in negotiations with SuperSport to allow the SABC to broadcast the Springboks against the All Blacks at Ellis Park in the Rugby Championship this season. Last year, MultiChoice were asking 5.38 million rand per match from the SABC to broadcast the Rugby World Cup games.
So we are waiting now for them to get back to us. But we had a meeting yesterday. We said this is an important game. Find it in your heart for the South Africans to be able to watch this game. While we are fixing. So I just want to put it out there. People stupidly think we want to tell SuperSport or Newsroom or E-News. No, bring it here. We're not a communist country. We are not a socialist country. We are a country that must help our businesses. That's a business.
So he's saying that the government will find money to pay SuperSport for the rights to broadcast it on SABC.
Yeah, this department will have to have lots of money after the promises that were made and now sort of money for rights. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see tomorrow.
AVBOB is sharing mutual value with AVBOB members like never before. Introducing AVBOB Member Rewards. Qualifying AVBOB members now enjoy even more benefits. Don't miss out on your chance to get rewarded. Visit the AVBOB website to learn more or simply register on the AVBOB self-service portal at selfservice.avbob.co.za to opt in or visit your nearest AVBOB branch for assistance.
The world's best cooking show is finally here. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, noma uphumaphi, and no matter your favorite dish, see if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. only on S3 Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, the world's best cooking show, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
Our brand new Miss South Africa 2024 is Mia!
Have you not always accepted, or rather have you not always been comfortable with being a beautiful girl? I mean, you are strikingly beautiful. I know it has nothing to do with you. Mom and Dad are listening, so they get all the credits. You are a strikingly beautiful girl.
Thank you so much. I actually, when I grew up, I did experience bullying. I was an emotional eater. I got overweight, so I have not always felt beautiful. I did have a very tough time during school and like primary school with feeling beautiful. Like I felt very unworthy. I felt very ugly. And there is this line that I love that says, I know my worth, because I have felt my unworthiness.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo, midday to 1 p.m.
Now, Morocco Police, together with Joburg Metro Police Department members, are monitoring the situation in White City, Jabavu in Soweto, following allegations of shops being closed. Now, this comes after some residents reportedly moved around the township, shutting down all spaza shops owned by foreign nationals following an alleged assault and shooting of a 21-year-old man at a spaza shop. Now, Gauteng Police spokesperson Colonel Notolo Kweza says that police have arrested one suspect following a shooting incident. But for more on this matter, we joined on the line now by Ward 37 Councillor Papi Chetsang. Mr. Chetsang, thanks for your time. Welcome to Update at Noon.
Good afternoon, Sakina. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Mr. Chetsang, if you could just bring us up to speed first and foremost with what the situation is currently in White City. Are the community still angry? Are they still closing down the spaza shops owned by foreign nationals?
Firstly, let me just greet your listeners. Well, our observation at the moment, it's rather calm. We are seeing the presence of all the security forces on the ground. So there's relatively an air of calmness in the area. It's rather tense but calm. That's what we can say.
Tense but calm. So what is the community saying at the moment, and have they closed down any shops at this stage?
We're seeing most of all the foreign spaza shops are closed at the moment. So the observation is that the foreign spaza shops are closed at this point in time.
What is the community saying, Mr. Chetsang? We heard there was a shooting incident of a 21-year-old man. Do we know, are you aware of what happened in that particular instance?
Well, we know at this point in time that a young man of 22 years old was shot by a foreign national. And obviously, the community were very heartbroken by that, and some of them got very angry at that, and that would have actually started the whole commotion.
Was there any further details as to what led to the shooting, Mr. Chetsang?
The details that led to the shooting is rather still sketchy because we haven't had a statement from the young man who was shot because he's still in hospital. And the suspect was just arrested, as I know. So we're still waiting for the details, what would have happened. But we know that the young people were at the foreign spaza shop and they were actually shot.
So as things stand, from what we have been told, the community have said that they want all of the foreign-owned tuck shops or spaza shops to be closed. And we understand members of Dudula are also at the forefront of this. Are you able to confirm that for us? And what does that mean? Have people been asked to leave the township, or what is the situation at the moment?
Well, I cannot comment on behalf of Dudula. I think Dudula will comment on their behalf and what their plans are.
But I was asking whether you are aware, as we have been told, that they are the ones leading this particular, they are the ones leading the closing of these spaza shops. Is that something that you are aware of as the ward councillor?
I'm aware that the foreign spaza shops were closed. I'm aware that the community was not happy. And I'm also aware that Operation Dudula was actually, I saw some clips to say they were at some spaza shops. That's what I'm aware of.
And the police, have they said anything about what's to happen next? Because if these foreigners who own the spaza shops have had to close, have they gone to the police station? Do you know where they are at this point in time?
We're seeing police presence as we speak. And we're seeing police are actually patrolling. Police are also basically making sure that they look at every area, even the closed spaza shops, so that there isn't any illegal occurrences in the area. So the police are on the ground, and I actually spoke to the brigadier today in the morning, and he assured me that he had more police presence on the ground. He said Pops was on the ground. And then he assured me that even JMPD, so I've also inspected and seen it for myself.
Well, Mr. Chetsang, thanks so much. And that is the situation currently in White City, Jabavu in Soweto. And as you heard there from the Ward Council of Ward 37, Mr. Papi Chetsang, that all the foreign-owned spaza shops in the area have been closed. And as he described the situation, it is calm, but, it's tense, and we'll find out. We'll keep an eye on those developments and let you know if anything further happens.
Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo, midday to 1 p.m.
Right, 6 minutes before 1, let's listen to some of your voice notes.
Good day, Sakina and SFM listeners. Sakina, we sympathize with the loss of lives, especially the young ones who has just come on the earth. It's very painful to lose a child. But Sakina, I think something needs to be done. The government must do something, because I'm asking myself, the way I know a 4-month-old baby looks like, that he or she is taken to a daycare center. I think the government must change something. Something must be done. Thanks. This is James in Johannesburg.
Good afternoon, Sister Sakina. It's Fred the Trucker here in Free State. Sister Sakina, those who are going around closing spaza shops that are owned by foreign nationals, can they open the same spaza shops and continue with the business? Can they pay the person who was receiving rent from that foreign national? Can they continue to pay that person that income that that person was getting? That South African person that was getting that income, can they continue to do that? I thank you.
Good afternoon, Sis Sakina and your team, Jumbo Africa. Happy Women's Month. Sis Sakina, you see, they are not dating those people who need to face the music. There is a two in EFF, Marshall Dlamini and Fred Chivambo. They must also arrested. Why our government they keep avoiding to arrest Fred Chivambo and Marshall Dlamini? There is no such a thing that you can receive a sponsor for more than 26 million. After that, you keep saying, no, it was a donation. Donation of what? EFF, they must also arrested. That is why they are quiet. They don't speak nothing about VBS because of the benefit. No, the thing is, it's a serious case and it needs serious attention. EFF, they must be also arrested. Is Chief Director in Matosala Pesi.
Good day. Bishop Makwana from Leboa Zone F. Sakina, it's high time that the foreigners vacate our country. It can't be that they're proliferating as well as unemployment is continuing to rise, and they're the ones who have been employed by those that want to exploit them. They must have legal documents in order to be there in the country. Therefore, I think what they're doing there in Johannesburg is very good. It's high time. It can't be happening. Even today, on the road, I was threatened with death by some criminals and cabals that are on Lebele Ngumbi. I will talk about it later, but hey, we South Africa.
A very interesting issue, Mam Sakina, about the taxi operator increasing a taxi fare without informing the commuters who utilize the taxis are the commuters. So why they don't approach them and talk to them and sit down with the commuters? Because now you see the frustration that is happening around the country. The people, they are no longer using the taxi anymore. The people, they decided to go to the hiking spots because of the arrogancy of the taxi operator. Can you at least, Mam Sakina, try to follow that issue? Thank you.
Hello, Sakina. It's interesting to hear DA talking about the VBS and deciding only to mention the EFF leaders, because for them, the VBS was collapsed by the EFF and it was not collapsed by Sweden Kize. It was not collapsed by the Department of Justice Minister Thembisi Milani and a couple of ANC former councillors and mayors. So the DA, they are only targeting the VBS in order to get the EFF. But they have already declared that Phala is much better than VBS. That's the thinking of DA. This is Pimen in Kuruma.
Well, thank you so much for those voice notes, everybody. And, we will try to follow up where we can. Noel also says, before elections, lots of political parties made promises about creating jobs. So what happened to those promises? But we know, Noel, that politicians will say whatever they need to say in order to get you to vote for them. Whether any of that ever comes to light is a different story altogether. Right, that unfortunately is where we have to leave that for this afternoon. I'll tell you what, we certainly will follow up with the police in terms of the story of the 4-month-old and just check what is happening there. And as you heard from the aunt, the daycare center has not said anything to them. And I think just on a humane level, there's something so wrong with that sort of action because it almost speaks to an uncaring attitude towards this grieving family. And someone in the voice notes said the government must do something because why would you take a 4-month-old? Nobody wants to leave their child to go out to work. No mother wants to do that. But unfortunately, circumstances force us to do that. And, that for me is something that we cannot even start to get into because you can't be prescriptive and tell people how to live their lives. This family took their child to a daycare center. They expected their child to be cared for. And unfortunately, they had to go and collect the corpse of their child, which, trust, no parent ever wants to go through. Let's leave it there. It is 1 o'clock. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll do it all again tomorrow.
Thank you, Sakina. Top stories. Judge calls for courtroom decorum in Senzo Meyiwa murder trial and over 600,000 IDs uncollected at Home Affairs offices. With the news, I'm Dino Mutaung. Good afternoon. Presiding judge in the Senzo Meyiwa trial, Ratha Mokgwatleng, has called on legal counsels to show respect and decorum in court during cross-examination. This follows a verbal altercation between defense counsel Charles Nisi and Colonel Lamberto Steyn yesterday at the High Court in Pretoria. 5 men are on trial for the 2014 murder of the Bafana Bafana captain. Steyn, a retired cell phone data analyst, has been recalled to the stand to give clarity on the alleged communication between Meyiwa's former girlfriend Kelly Khumalo and one of the accused. Mokgwatleng says all those in court should respect each other throughout the proceedings.
The court must not intimidate or upset a witness or the accused to such an extent that the answers are weakened or credibility degraded. And this applies also to the defense counsel. This witness yesterday wanted to get out of court and leave. And Mr. Nisi sat down and said, "You can go." There must be decorum in court. A witness must be accorded the space and the dignity, and a witness also has to answer to the best of his ability all the questions asked. And all of us must show each other respect, decorum, and deference.
Former National Assembly Speaker Baleka Mbete has denied that she protected former President Jacob Zuma in Parliament while he was head of state. Mbete, who was the Speaker between 2014 and 2019, ruled that MPs could vote in a secret ballot in a no-confidence motion against Zuma in 2017. The former Speaker told SABC News this morning that reports stating that she protected the former president are not true.
When I took a decision at the point at which the Constitutional Court had said it is up to Parliament to decide whether the method of voting on a particular time, in a particular motion against the President, whether it should be private or it should be open.
In other news, the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Schreiber, says nearly 600,000 identity documents are uncollected at offices countrywide. This came out in a written parliamentary reply. Schreiber says the bulk of these IDs, at just over 450,000, are reissued, while more than 142,000 are being issued for the first time. The Home Affairs offices with the most uncollected IDs are Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape, Johannesburg, and Acacia offices in Gauteng and Cape Town in the Western Cape. He added that between April 2019 and 29 July this year, 53 employees have been disciplined in relation to the irregular processing of identity documents, and 33 employees have been dismissed during this period. Moving to the Western Cape as cleanup operations continue in Riverlands near Malmesbury on the Cape West Coast, some residents have called on the authorities to employ the local youth as workers in restoration efforts. The collapse of dam walls last week led to severe damage of infrastructure in the area, including damage to roads, water infrastructure and railway tracks. Committee members say the contract employment of local young people to restore infrastructure is on their agenda.
Lot of work is here for young guys of us, but the municipality don't look at us. You see, lot of young guys don't have work. So what must we do now? For example, the municipality can give us work and then we can help them also.
Lastly, Sudan says it will not be present in talks that are set to begin in Geneva to try to end 16 months of brutal conflict in the country. The war between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary RSF has claimed thousands of lives and driven about 10 million people from their homes. Mukesh Kapila is a former UN chief coordinator of Sudan.
I'm not looking for peace. I'm looking for some signal that some of the suffering can be mitigated, because if you get that, if you get some let up in terms of the impact on civilians, then it might raise the prospects of more serious peace in the future.
Recapping the top story this hour, presiding judge in the Senzo Meyiwa trial, Ratha Mokgwatleng, has called on legal counsels to show respect and decorum in court during cross-examination. Headlines at 1:30 for SAFM News. I'm Dino Mutaung.
Feel Good Fridays just got even better with a brand new Espresso newsletter, The Feel Good Fix. Delivered to your inbox every Friday, it is your weekly dose of joy, entertainment and local flair. Subscribe now at expressoshow.com and never miss a moment.
From heartwarming stories to tasty recipes, it's all there waiting for you. And remember to tune in to the Espresso Morning Show weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on S3, and let's start your day right and channel your inner feel good.
20 outfits of the Premier League are back on the battlefield for another spectacular season, with ambitions to play the world's most competitive and compelling football.
Rodri! City 3! West Ham 1!
This is the massive fight for the ultimate glory.
Caicedo, is he going to try and beat him from inside his own arm? Oh, Moises Caicedo! I can't believe it! What a way to score your first Chelsea goal!
Experience the 2024-2025 Premier League season on Saturdays at 3 p.m. live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day, where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
I kissed you on my return. I watched you from every corner and every curve, and I wonder, was it all a blessing or all a curse? But you prove it to me. Look at how far we've come. Man, look at how far we've come. Oh, 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 I know it's true. Oh, 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 I know it's true, yeah. 'Cause I found a heaven in you. Yeah, I found a heaven in you. Shadow, no, oh love, just instead. I think that I found the one. I mean, how could I not? When every picture wearing makes my heart stop. Yeah, oh man, you take me so high up. Yes, you get me so inspired. Oh, you take me so high up. So inspired. Oh, 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 I know it's true. Oh, 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 I know it's true, yeah. 'Cause I found a heaven in you. Yeah, I found a heaven in you.
I mean, the fact that he went on to release 44, I kid you not, 44 albums. No Borders, rather, is the 44th album and the final studio album from Hugh Masekela. It was released back in November of 2016 via Gallo Records, of course, and it features Jay Something on this particular track, Heaven in You. What a beautiful song this is. One of my favorite songs. But I think every time you put together, of course, the talents of Hugh Masekela and any incredibly gifted musician, particularly one of a different generation, magic is bound to happen. And that is how we kick off the show today. That is how we say hello to you today on this very fine Wednesday afternoon. I don't know. You know what? Please actually check me on that, because I'm pretty sure, as I said this number, because sometimes the information that we extract on the internet could be completely wrong, especially in 2024. So if you have other information about the album No Borders, that was the final album from Hugh Masekela, please do WhatsApp me. It's a bit of a weird day today in Johannesburg. I don't know how you're feeling about this weather, but I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. It started off weird in the morning. It continues to be weird. It's unclear whether or not it wants to be cold, whether it wants to be warm. It's kind of confused today. Kind of very confused. And I don't know if it's acting up much in the same way countrywide. But that's definitely what we are experiencing here in Johannesburg. I hope you're having a good day, though. It is Wednesday, and of course on Wednesday we take on more interpersonal conversations, especially after 2 o'clock. So we're going to be looking at healing the heart and the mind and navigating our way through trauma recovery. But coming up in the first hour of the show, we're going to be looking at the financial perspective of women. Looking at issues around financial abuse and how that is a very common factor in our country, and also speaking about the importance of financial independence for women. It is Women's Month, so a lot of our conversations really are centered and themed around women in South Africa and tackling us from very many different aspects. Also coming up today is Made in SA. That's coming up in the first hour of the show, and we'll get to introduce you to a young entrepreneur in the beauty space for that particular segment. Here's a question that we are putting on the table today. I did say it's Wednesday. We like to have conversations around family, around relationships, around the interpersonal. And the question that we are putting on the table for you today is very simple. Why don't you want to be stepdads? Very simple conversation. Why don't you want to be stepfathers? We just want to know, from the good, from the bad, to the disappointing, to the funny, to the superstitious. And this comes off a social media post that I saw a couple of weeks ago, and a young lady just put up that question, and she said, why don't you want to be stepfathers? And I swear to goodness, there was thousands of responses underneath. And what was interesting for me is the fact that so many men don't want to be disappointed. And men oftentimes don't want to share their emotions. So it was very interesting to see a lot of gentlemen, young, old, middle-aged, sharing their experiences. And the sort of common thread was they don't want to be disappointed. They don't want their hearts broken. And that's why they don't want to be stepfathers. So that is the question we are asking you for today's family meeting. Why don't you want to be a stepfather? 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. You can send us your voice notes there. You can absolutely remain anonymous if you so please. You can share with us some of your experiences with being a stepdad, or maybe some of your reservations with being a stepfather, or maybe just even the joys and the funnies if you are a stepdad and you've had quite the healthy, beautiful experience with your journey. There's so plenty stepfathers who've got really great stories. So you can share those with us. We'd love to hear from you for our family meeting on 061-410-4107. That is our WhatsApp line. Or 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on.
18 teams are back on the hunting ground. No one wants a loss or a draw. They are all searching for maximum points in every encounter. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Do not miss out on the 2024-2025 Bundesliga season. Catch the action live on Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Victory in the opening match always sets a good tone, and that's what the Gunners of London are gunning for.
They've almost scored! Kai Havertz! And Arsenal have won it late on.
Meanwhile, the Wolves are on a real mission to howl for 90 minutes in search of essential 3 points.
Wolves have a second! And listen to the noise!
This is the Premier League. Witness the thrilling encounter between Arsenal FC and Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, 17 August at 3 p.m. Live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SA Women's Struggles Journal. Hashtag Women's Month. Celebrating 30 years of democracy towards women's development. SAFM celebrates the power, resilience and brilliance of women. It's Women's Month and we honoring the incredible contributions of women in our communities, our workplaces and our homes. Join SAFM in recognizing the achievements, strengths and spirit of women everywhere. Let's uplift and empower each other today and every day. SAFM, leading the Women's Month conversation. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM. In our first conversation, we're looking at the financial perspective of women. So we've seen quite the rise in the digital realm of what they are terming the momosphere. It's basically an online safe haven that's filled with moms and wives and women that are creating content, right, related to just about everything that speaks to being woman, from cooking to relationships to parenting. But the space is also, this online space is also seeing the emergence of what they call the trade wife. And these are women who are creating appealing online content that embodies and encourages some kind of conformity to traditional gender roles, right? And women can then use these newfound financial freedoms and foundations to explore and navigate all kinds of different things. And we thought we'd have the conversation around the financial perspective of women, the importance of financial independence for women, and the role that plays even within the romantic relationships that women pursue. And we've got Shireen Mutara joining us, who's a feminist and CEO and lead coach of Tara Transform, as well as Nolene Dahane, who is a financial advisor. And maybe let's start with you first, Nolene. Good afternoon to you. How are you?
Good afternoon, Bridget. I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's only a pleasure. Let's talk about the importance of financial independence for women. And this is an ongoing conversation that's raised in many rooms, not just in South Africa, but worldwide.
You know, Bridget, the first thing I'll say is that money gives you options, right? Money is the most diverse tool you can ever find that can cater to so many things. So I think it's always important that when you find yourself in a situation like you've entered into a relationship or a marriage and it's not working and you want out, that you don't stay there because now you don't have any financial means. You don't know how you're going to live outside of the comfort that this relationship provides. So I think that's one important reason for females to be financially free, so that you have options and you have decision-making power.
And actually, I think that is the crux of, well, not really the crux, but at the center also of the conversation around some of the social ills that we have as South African women, particularly. Would you not agree?
I would agree. You know, I'll go back to the point that have options, right? And I know it's appealing to see people living good lives on Instagram, being housewives or just cooking and looking after kids and things like that. But it also comes to having a sense of purpose, you know. And there's nothing wrong with you feeling like your purpose is being a mother and a wife and things like that. But those relationships, what happens when they're not there? What happens if you lose a child or the marriage ends? What happens when your children are maybe grown and they've left the house and you end up in divorce or your spouse dies, you know? So the person who's always going to be there is you. And it is important that you also look after yourself 100%.
Shireen, how are you doing this afternoon? Let's jump you into this conversation.
I'm good, thanks, Bridget, and yourself?
I'm great, thank you. Interestingly enough, that, you know, we're seeing women sort of take on all these various roles, and women embrace all the opportunities that are presented to them now in this era. But at the same time, on the other end of the spectrum, we're also seeing a lot of women doubling down into the traditional wife roles and really embodying and encouraging that conformity to that. And I wonder, where does that leave the conversation around women being independent and women accessing their financial strength and muscles so that they can have those options if they're going to sort of the more traditional end of the spectrum?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are two things here. The one is around women's choices, right? So women having the ability to make their own choices. And I think we must be cautious about judging women when they make their own choices. However, the other important thing is, though, that, you know, the extent to which women are able to, within those contexts, be truly who they want to be. So as the colleague said about, you know, having purpose in their life and so on. What we do know that in reality is that, I mean, we have almost a 50% divorce rate. And often women are left destitute. They don't have the financial resources and income to be able to look after themselves once that happens. And also that the way the type of marriage that they enter often is in community of property, or they are and then they're not able to have financial resources. So I think that this idea of living a more traditional life and so on is also in line with what we generally see happening in the broader political sphere. You know, this move towards kind of right-wing thinking, this approach of, you know, we must go back to our traditional morals and values, and, you know, we're losing our values and that kind of thing. And that comes with a whole lot of other stuff around, you know, stuff around how women should behave, how women should, what roles women should have, and so on. And for those that are buying into that, you know, there's not much we can say about that because women make those choices. But one hopes that they make those choices being fully aware of the consequences of that. You know, so if you choose to be a traditional wife, no one can hold that against you. But are you also aware of if that marriage breaks down, if that relationship breaks down, will you be able to have the financial security you need, and so on? So I think those are the kind of things that we need to think about. I think my concern would be about whether women are safe in those relationships, whether they have options and choices in those relationships, and whether they are financially secure inside and then possibly outside of those relationships.
And by way of your observation, you know, in these sort of spaces and being part of these kinds of conversations, what is the new generation of young women saying? Are they having those considerations in the back of their minds to say, if we do take the more traditional route, but I still am thinking about the could haves or the might happens down the road?
Yeah, I think it depends. We have a lot of young women who are very informed about these things. They are very rights orientated. They know their rights. They know what they want out of life, and they are, in a sense, going for that. So they are well informed about that. But we also know that in certain communities, young women, for example, have very little choice about some of these things. We've seen some communities going back to the issues of virginity testing, for example, and so on. So it doesn't give those young women often a choice. They feel isolated. They feel discriminated against and so on if they decide not to go for that option. You know, say for example, if they decide not to do the virginity testing, then they get bad-mouthed by their community, they get labeled and so on. So there's all those kinds of societal and community pressures that affect their ability to make these choices. So I think it's contextual, but I do think that a lot more young women understand that they have choices, that they can make choices. Of course, this is limited by their ability to have financial and economic independence, because we know, for example, young women are the ones that are most affected by unemployment, black young women in particular. So their ability to make choices is limited by their ability to have the financial backing to do so.
Yeah, and we are exploring this conversation today. If you want to be a part of it, you're more than welcome to give us a shout on 086 000 2032. Before we head into the news, Nolene, let's jump it back to you. The emphasis has been on the awareness of having choice and the sort of the need to put yourself in a situation where you can have choice, and that speaks to some degree also to investing in financial education perhaps, or even engaging more conversations around financial independence and financial education amongst women.
Bridget, the first thing is that we all need to remember that it is our responsibility to also seek out the information, right? That if you want to enter into a marriage, go and find out what type of marital regimes there are. Go and find out how it impacts your finances at death, at divorce, at any instance. So always remember it's your responsibility to seek out the information. It is there. And then your second responsibility is to find someone who can help you contextualize it, because there's a lot of information out there. In fact, it almost feels like there's too much information out there. So yes, the informed choice is important, but it's the information that will come first. And find somebody, get a financial advisor, make sure they are registered. They will talk to you about everything and anything you need to know. We have connections, we have lawyers that we work with, we have tech specialists that we work with. So we are a network of professionals that can introduce you to one another to say, okay, you need some advice on tax, talk to this person. You need some advice on this. So it's important for you to be able to make informed decisions, is to seek out the information, but make sure that you get it contextualized for your situation.
Yeah. Let's take a quick pause here for a second, and then we'll come back on the other side of this. It's time to get into the headline news.
With the headlines at 1:30, I am Dino Mutaung. Good afternoon. About 106 houses have been handed over by the Jagersfontein Developments Mine to families affected by the mine dam collapse in the area in 2022. In other news, the Gauteng Education Department has called on teachers and parents to create a safer environment for learners to open up about challenges that they face. This follows an incident where 3 siblings from Everton Primary School in Sebokeng died from suspected food poisoning on Monday after allegedly eating food at home. And presiding judge in the Senzo Meyiwa trial, Ratha Mokgwatleng, has called on legal counsels to show respect and decorum in court during cross-examination. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We are looking at the financial perspective of a woman and talking how perhaps our relationship with our finances or lack thereof can also have an impact in just how we navigate our life choices and our relationships. And as we were talking, Shireen, I'm reminded of the fact that especially, I can only speak from the perspective of being a black woman, and engaging other women of color as well within the colored community and the Indian community. And so I know that our childhoods are very similar in the sense of the kinds of conversations we've had with our grandmothers, our mothers, our aunts. And this sort of, on the one hand, you brought up to believe that you must share all of your life with your husband or your partner. Nothing must be a secret, especially the finances. And then sort of as the generations become more enlightened, you then hear them sort of alluding to that old wives' tale of, a woman must always have mattress money that no one knows about. And I wonder, how do women navigate those two very conflicting messages, right? Because the one speaks to, we're building something healthy and solid together as a team, as a unit that involves everything is shared. And the other one speaks to, just in case things don't work out, you must safeguard yourself. And these are two conflicting messages that I think sometimes put women in a position where you got to choose one.
Yeah, and actually I think you don't have to.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, you can do both. What I do think, though, is important here is It's not so much what others tell you, but what your relationship is about. So, do you have trust in your relationship? Is there enough openness and understanding about, we are in this together, this is what our financial commitments look like, and so on. And then it's easier for women to be able to navigate the financial aspects of that. However, if women are in a relationship where, for example, they're the homemaker and they don't necessarily have a big income, they know very little about what happens with the financials in their home and so on, then it can create a level of insecurity for them. So ideally, you want partners, if we go into a marriage, we should be able to have an open understanding about everything that involves our lives. But we know in reality that doesn't happen often. So I do think that women should be able to at least think in the long term. If my financial situation is to deteriorate, what will happen to me? What can I do in the interim to start planning for that? I also think that many of us come from single parent households. I come from a single parent household, and my mother was the only one who took care of me, who made sure there was food on the table and so on. And she taught me a lot about being financially independent. So we also come from that kind of background, and that has taught us also as women to be financially independent, to be able to think about, how we manage our money. The challenge, of course, is often that we have money for the immediate, and it's more challenging to save and plan for the future. So I find that a lot of women that we work with often are able to manage the day-to-day, but struggle to think about and plan for the long term, and that is often where the challenges come. So whether you're in a marriage or not, or whether you're on your own, or you have children as a single parent, you need to think about the medium and long term financially and start planning for that now.
And what should our thinking process entail when we're looking out into the future?
So, if I just speak for myself, I'm a single parent, and what I have done was, initially, of course, I run my own business, so it was about getting that business stable and being able to pay myself a good salary every month. But then the next step is, am I starting to save money? So do I have an emergency savings so that when there's a small crisis, a geyser burst, or whatever the issue is, I have some money to tide me over to deal with that. The next level, of course, is then longer term saving. So how am I starting to save for my daughter's university education? How am I starting to save for my retirement? And what are the options there? And I'm sure, the financial advisor can say more about that, but I have retirement annuities, but I also have Satrix investments, for example, which help me to start thinking and for my daughter and planning for our long-term financial future, because we know that if we don't do that, no one is going to come and save us. There's no one that's going to give me retirement. I don't want government's money. I need to be having my own financial security in retirement. And the big challenge that I see is that a lot of women, even those that were or are in good jobs, are not thinking meaningfully about retirement, recognizing that we now live much longer. You can live up to 95. It's no longer about 65 and 75.
Yeah.
And we don't have the financial resources for that.
Nolene, let's jump you in here. And Shireen says that we should be thinking meaningfully about the long term. Give us some advice in as far as what women should be, planning towards, thinking about and prioritizing.
I love that she talked about having an emergency fund. That's one of the first things any financial advisor will tell you. But what I want to say is that we need to move beyond having an emergency fund. We need to start thinking about having opportunity funds, because opportunities come around and you can't even participate because you don't even have an emergency fund, let alone extra money that you can use for something that can create a better future for yourself, your children, and your family. So have an emergency fund, move on to an opportunity fund, pay off consumer debt, and just be able to afford a comfortable lifestyle for yourself. That's what you should be able to do that for yourself.
And I think what I also hear, Nolene, is the sense of taking control of one's money, yeah,
Yes.
to avoid being in that vulnerable situation.
Yes, yes. Have options. Money gives you options.
The emphasis is on the money giving you the options. Just a last bite from both of you ladies as we wrap up the conversation. I mean, we haven't even traversed just sort of the mental health aspects that also come with financial security for women.
You know, Bridget, I think there's something that we also don't talk enough about. When you don't have emergency fund, you don't have extra money, you are essentially one emergency away from being totally financially destroyed. And sometimes that's a health emergency. You know, it's not always something that you can put off or something small. Sometimes it's something between life and death and you don't have a medical aid, or you do have a medical aid but there's a co-payment, you know, and maybe it's large, maybe it's small, but it's something that you don't have the money for. So I really think that what's important is plan for the worst and save for the best.
Awesome. I like that little bit of advice. Plan for the worst and hope for the best. Thank you so much for the conversation today. That was Shireen Matara, who is the CEO and lead coach of Tara Transform, and of course Nolene Tahane, who is a financial advisor. It's 20 to 2 o'clock. It is time for us to take a quick break, and then we come back on the other side. We're going to get into Made in SA. Remember that my WhatsApp is open. The question for our family meeting today, a little bit later on in the day, is a very simple question. Why don't you want to be a stepfather? Why don't you guys, and it's a general question, you don't necessarily have to be a stepfather or be in a situation to answer it. It could just be something that perhaps you've pondered on in your life as a man at some point, and you formulated some opinion one way or another that's fueled by either an experience or just your perspective. But that's a question on the table, gents. It's Women's Month, but we thought we'd have you in on this conversation. 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. You can send your WhatsApp voice notes to that number. Why don't you want to be a stepfather is the question.
Hi, my name is Kamogelo and I'm a lifesaver. Through a chance encounter with the DKMS Africa team at a nearby mall, I decided to register to become a stem cell donor and potentially give someone else a second chance at life. Every life is precious, and after I was made aware that I could give someone else a second chance at life, all it took to register was 3 swabs, a quick and easy process. You too could be a potential lifesaver in the making. Register to become a stem cell donor at dkmsafrica.org.
The Serengeti, located on the northern part of Tanzania, bordering Kenya on the north and Ngorongoro in the south. Home to the African Big Five and millions of zebras, birds and other predators. Serengeti 2 returns to the unspoiled corner of the Serengeti for more animal drama. There's humor, heartbreak and nail-biting tension as new characters move in and familiar faces continue their stories. Channel your inner adventurer with Serengeti 2, Sundays at 6 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Made in SA with Bridget Masinga.
Hanging out now on the phone with entrepreneur, founder of Namhla Collection, Namhla Tutwana, and all whilst we were in COVID, bored out of our wits, trying to figure out what to do. Namhla, stuck in her flat in Cape Town, decided one evening that she was going to bloom something incredible. And we're going to find out the story of how Namhla Collection came to be at the height of COVID. How are you doing today?
Hi there, Bridget. I'm fine. Thanks, and yourself?
I'm great, thank you. So while the rest of us were in panic mode, busy selling out yeast and trying banana bread recipes just to occupy our minds and ease our anxiety, you were busy cooking up a brand new startup. Tell me more.
Yes, definitely. Listen, during lockdown, I was so bored. I always say I was so bored, my hobby started boring me. So this particular evening, actually, I got irritated by an old defunct pillar candle of mine, which I decided to remelt, and I put into one of my glasses. And at that moment, I asked myself, actually, why don't we have Impepo candles? Because in the African culture, when you're burning a candle, there's always Impepo burning on the side, or vice versa. So I thought, how about I combine these two elements into one? But as I delved deeper into its benefits, I found out how it has been used to treat wounds, pimples. So I decided to make soaps, bath salts, and that's how Namhla Collection was discovered.
I mean, listen, so interesting, because Impepo is something that is so spiritual. For so many Africans, I don't want to assume that all Africans, but for so many Africans, at least those of us on the southern tip of this continent, and a lot of people will never sort of think of incorporating it into some kind of home decor candles, because of the fact that we use it for more spiritual, ancestral rituals and connection.
Definitely. So I think that's what I've discovered, that a lot of our youth actually have that notion that using Impepo or any South African indigenous plant, is always associated with that connotation that you're using muti. It's only reserved for traditional healers, sangomas. But in actual fact, there's more benefits into Impepo. It has medicinal benefits to heal our skin alignment issues such as pimples, scars, and rashes. So there's more into it, but just burning it, to ward off negative spirits. Yeah.
And so you went on to then produce from a simple candle. From what I understand, you've now sort of expanded your offering to producing hair and beauty products. So are they all Impepo infused, and then obviously incorporating other ingredients and things? Tell me more. Tell me more about them.
Yes. So Impepo is the hero ingredient.
Okay.
And then the other ingredients that are complementary, like your shea butters, your grapeseed oils, and your aloes maybe. Yeah. So Impepo is just the hero ingredient. I want to highlight it. I want to put it out there that, listen, this is an Impepo product. Whether it's a hair, soap, bath salt, but the hero ingredient is Impepo.
And I still love the fact that even though Impepo is the hero ingredient in everything, that you still leaned more towards indigenous ingredients, things like aloes and shea butters. These are all things that are very native to us as Africans for all of their wonderful properties.
Definitely, and natural.
Yes. Now, what has the reception been like? A sense of curiosity from the market?
A lot of curiosity, especially from the older generation, because I think they understand, Impepo and its uses more. But when it comes to the younger generation, I still feel a need to explain more. A lot of changing of perceptions, going deeper into its history. I always feel like I'm doing a presentation whenever I'm at an expo, having to explain further and further. You can just see their eyes, how amazed they are.
Yeah. Would you not say, though, that gives you a little bit of a competitive edge from, your other competitors, right? Because now suddenly you have a story that is unique and an ingredient that we're familiar with, but we've never used in this particular way.
Definitely. I would say Namhla Collection, it's more than just selling cosmetics. I think Namhla Collection is a South African cultural representation through cosmetics. My mission says to rekindle the old South African traditions of skincare with a dazzle of modernity and to tell the African stories through our product. So that's what I'm doing. That's what's making me different. That could be that I'm revisiting century-old beauty practices and ingredients that have been passed down from generations and contributing to the preservation of indigenous knowledge systems and just showing off our very own botanical landscape through our inventory.
Well, listen, Namhla, we wish you the very best with your business, and we thank you for introducing us to your products, Namhla Collection. And you can find them, of course, on the digital platforms. That was founder Namhla Dudwana coming through. It's time now to get into Kids Corner, and then at the top of the hour, it's going to be your news, your 2 o'clock news.
TV licenses have developed a new GIS-linked national address database to ensure that we can communicate with all our valued license holders. We now have a visual of all licensed and unlicensed households nationwide in order to effectively communicate with you. We remind you to take note of our payment reminders and avoid paying penalties due to non-compliance or choosing to ignore your legal obligation to pay your license fees. We can communicate with all our license holders through cost-effective electronic methods, enabling us to collect license fees and continue to support the national broadcaster, the SABC, in accordance with Section 27 of the Broadcasting Act No. 4 of 1999 as amended. TV licenses. Pay yours. Make a difference.
Victory in the opening match always sets a good tone, and that's what the Gunners of London are gunning for.
They've almost scored! Kai Havertz! And Arsenal have won it late on.
Meanwhile, the Wolves are on a real mission to howl for 90 minutes in search of essential 3 points.
Wolves have a second! And listen to the noise!
This is the Premier League. Witness the thrilling encounter between Arsenal FC and Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, 17 August at 3 p.m. Live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC+. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
My name is Rachel Taima. I'm 10 years old, about to turn 11. My school is Pakistan Public School. I prefer taking a shower because it's more nicer and I like to sing in the shower. For me to take a shower, I rather take 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes. To be honest, I only take a shower when I go out. Because taking a shower is boring. You're just gonna bath and then come out. So boring. I don't like doing that. The reason I don't like bathing is because I have to take out my clothes. I don't like doing that. And I'm bored with doing that. And I have to even wash my clothes myself. So I don't like bathing because of that. I'd rather just take my clothes and put them on until I go out. After bathing, it makes me feel fresh, but I still don't like it. Thank you. Hello, my name is Yolanda Mzobe. I am 10 years old. I learn in Pakistan Public School. So I prefer taking a bath than a shower cause a shower is going to take long and a bath is anytime you want to take. When I bath, it takes me 20 minutes or 10. Yeah, when I bath. When I take a shower, it's 10 minutes or 25 minutes. I bath when I'm also at home and when I'm going out because I want to be clean and fresh and feel healthy. The thing that I don't like about bathing, sometimes it's when it's cold. I'll feel cold in the water. Even though the water is hot, it will be cold faster and you see, I have to bath faster and I don't like bathing fast. After taking a bath, I feel healthy and fresh and able to do things. Yeah. Thank you. Hi, my name is Mandisa Sobuza and I am 10 years old. I am in Pakistan Public School. I stay in Hillbrow. The choice I'm going to take right now from bathing or showering is bathing, because showering it can take a lot of time. You have to switch on the geyser, and bathing you only have to wait for the water and then you start bathing, and it can make you late if you use a shower. It takes me 20 minutes or 10 minutes to bath. I bath every day, even when I'm staying at home. I don't like waiting for the water because it can take too long. To make bathing more fun to me, I have to take water before time I want to go out and do everything in time so that I can enjoy. After bathing, I noticed that I am much cleaner than before, and now I can wear the clothes I prefer to wear. Hello, my name is Lebogang Fakuden. I am 12 years old. I prefer taking a shower because a shower is very good. When the water splashes in your body, it's like the water is massaging you. I take a bath when I go out because my parents say I waste electricity when I bath every day. I do have plans to convince my parents to allow me to take a bath every day. I am going to say, Mommy, it's very good to take a bath. I will also buy electricity when I have money. I really like bathing. I feel fresh. I can change my clothes. Not wearing clothes every day, repeating on and on. No, I don't like that. Because at home we have a washing machine.
My name is Prophet King David Ikena Eze, and I learn in Pakistan Public School grade 5C. I prefer taking a bath because if you take a shower, sometimes the switch can switch into a cold water, and I don't like bathing in cold water. I bath at home not only when I go out. I bath every single day. Since I was born, I've been bathing. I don't only bath when I go out. The thing that I don't like about bath time is that when I'm singing and I'm busy jumping, playing the bath with water, I mistakenly sleep and I almost spill my water out. That's what I hate about when I'm singing in the bath, and what I hate about bathing. One of the songs that I like singing when I'm bathing is You Are Yahweh, You Are Yahweh. That's the song. I keep it repeatedly.
Hi, my name is Larissa. My surname is Michael. I am 12 years of age. I learn in Pakistan Public School. I am in grade 6A. I prefer taking a bath more than a shower because taking a bath is more interesting than taking a shower. Because taking a bath you have to sit down, then taking a shower you have to stand up and waste your energy. To be honest, I take a bath even if I'm not going anywhere. The thing that could be done for bathing to be more fun is that I must bath anytime I want. At the moment, I'm supposed to bath like at a certain time. Like, for
For example, if I'm going to school, like I'm supposed to wake up like at 5 o'clock, then bath, take a bath. After taking a bath, I feel refreshed and fresh.
Hi friends! Today let's talk about the importance of bathing. It's something we all do daily. But do you know why it's essential? Taking a bath or shower keeps our bodies clean and healthy. When we play outside, sweat, or even sit in class for long periods, our skin gathers dirt and bacteria. If we don't wash it away, it can lead to unpleasant odors and even health issues. Bathing is not just about cleanliness. It also promotes healthy skin and hair. When you use water and soap, you're removing dead skin cells that can clog your pores and lead to breakouts. This helps your skin stay smooth and clear. Washing your hair with shampoo eliminates oil and dirt, keeping it shiny and soft. Regular baths also maintain a healthy scalp. Did you know that a warm bath can help you unwind and improve sleep? Soaking in water relaxes your muscles and calms your mind. This is especially beneficial after a hectic day at school or sports practice. A soothing bath before bedtime can help you drift off to sleep more easily and enjoy sweet dreams. Well, bathing can also be a lot of fun. You can make bathing time exciting by adding bubbles to the water. Imagine you are swimming in a magical bubble land or create silly hairstyles with the foam. If you have waterproof toys, bring them along for some extra fun. And don't forget to sing your favorite tunes or listen to music while you soak. So keep in mind that bathing is not just a task. It's a vital and enjoyable part of staying healthy. It keeps your body clean, your skin radiant, and helps you relax. Next time you hop in the bath, consider taking some bubbles or toys to make it even more delightful. And don't forget to bath before you go to bed tonight. Enjoy your bath time. That's it for today, friends. See you next time.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
Essential cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. Simply SMS CAR to 43187 now.
Top stories: Jagersfontein mine dam wall collapse, victims get new houses, and judge calls for courtroom decorum in the Meyiwa trial. With the news, I'm Dino Motaung. Good afternoon. About 106 houses have been handed over by the Jagersfontein Developments mine to families affected by the mine dam collapse in the area in 2022. About 160 families in Jagersfontein in the Free State were displaced when a mine dam wall burst and sludge flooded part of the town, destroying houses and infrastructure. 2 people died. 50-year-old Mantele Mokhadi's body is still missing. Over 90 families have opted to have the mine rebuild and renovate their homes, while others are taking the legal route to have the mine reimburse them. Billy Bilankulu is a representative from the mine.
From the mining side, we will never be able to say we are happy until the community themselves will be able to speak and say they are happy. But more than anything, I think today marks a different step towards what would a good relationship that we need to start to have with the community. We came in at a point where we're supposed to introduce ourselves to the community, and immediately the disaster happened. And we made a commitment to them to say we will try and fulfill our promises of rebuilding their lives, which is exactly what we are trying to.
Trade, Industry and Competition Minister Park Stau says the partnership between business and government has broadly been recognized as successful. The aim of the collaboration was to address the country's energy, transport and logistics crisis, as well as crime and corruption. He says there has been progress under the various work streams. Stau was giving an online update from a meeting convened by the President with members of Cabinet and business leaders. Stau says they discussed a new era of collaboration under the 7th Democratic Administration.
Yesterday was really the first meeting since the elections and the establishment of the Government of National Unity. It enabled us to reflect on where we've come from, but also what the way forward is between both government and the private sector. And a collective expression of confidence of the work that's been done was expressed yesterday, but also a commitment to working together going forward and identifying further areas of collaboration.
In other news, the Gauteng Education Department has called on teachers and parents to create a safer environment for learners to open up about challenges that they face. This follows an incident with 3 siblings from Everton Primary School in Sebokeng who died from suspected food poisoning on Monday after allegedly eating food at home. They were declared dead at a local clinic. In a separate incident, 2 grade 8 learners from Zakani Secondary School in Ekurhuleni allegedly ate rat poison on the school premises. One died and the other is still fighting for her life in hospital. The department spokesperson Steve Mabona elaborates.
We encourage learners to reach out to professionals if there's something that is haunting them. We have a partnership with SADC, partnership with Childline. They need to reach out. SADC yesterday started the process to provide support to all grade 12 learners that are preparing for the prelims, which are starting next week, on how to cope, stress levels, and also parents on how we need to support our children when they are going to be busy with their examination.
Presiding judge in the Senzo Meyiwa trial, Ratamo Kwatling, has called on legal counsels to show respect and decorum in court during cross-examination. This follows a verbal altercation between defense counsel Charles Mnisi and Lebentus Steyn yesterday at the High Court in Pretoria. 5 men are on trial on the 2014 murder of the Bafana Bafana captain. Steyn, a retired cell phone data analyst, has been recalled to the stand to give clarity on the alleged communication between Meyiwa's former girlfriend Kelly Kumalo and one of the accused. Mokwatleng says all those in court should respect each other throughout the proceedings.
The court must not intimidate or upset a witness or the accused to such an extent that the answers are weakened or credibility degraded. And this applies also to the defense counsel. This witness yesterday wanted to get out of court and leave. And Mr. Mnisi sat down and said, "You can go." There must be decorum in court. A witness must be accorded the space and the dignity, and the witness also has to answer to the best of his ability all the questions asked. And all of us must show each other respect, decorum, and deference.
Lastly, Sudan says it will not be present in talks that are set to begin in Geneva to try to end 16 months of brutal conflict in the country. The war between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary RSF has claimed thousands of lives and driven about 10 million people from their homes. Mukesh Kapila is a former UN chief coordinator for Sudan.
I'm not looking for peace. I'm looking for some signal that some of the suffering can be mitigated, because if you get that, if you get some let up in terms of the impact on civilians, then it might raise the prospects of more serious peace in the future.
Recapping the top story this hour, about 106 houses have been handed over by the Jagersfontein Developments Mine to families affected by the mine dam collapse in the area in 2022. Headlines at 2:30 for SAFM News. I am Dino Mutaung.
And that's the news for this hour. Theft, accident and 1 million rand liability cover, all covered by Outsurance Essential. Get a quote today by simply SMSing car to 43187. Your own panel beater is like your loyal childhood friend. Been there through it all and you trust them. Outsurance gets it. And that's why with Outsurance Essential, your claim is paid out in cash to use on your own panel beater. Also, get up to 1 million rand liability cover and other great benefits at a low cost. Outsurance Essential is priced for cars older than 5 years and valued at under 125,000 and not financed. Simply SMS car to 43187 or give them a call on 0800 60,000. Outsurance is a licensed FSP and of course T's and C's do apply.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
Baby, let's cruise away from here. Don't be confused, baby. The way is clear. And if you want it, you get it forever. Oh, just for the one night stand, baby. Oh, let the music take your mind. And just releasing you will find. And baby, we're gonna fly away. Let you go my way. I love it when we're cruising together. Music was made for love. Cruising is made for love. Oh baby, I love it when we're cruising together. Baby, tonight belongs to us. Everything's right. Do what you must, baby. And inch by inch we get closer and closer. Oh, every little part of each other. Ooh, baby, baby. Let the music take your mind high. Just releasing you will find. Baby, we're gonna fly away. Let you go my way. I love it, I love. Oh baby, cruising together. Music was made for love. Was made for love. Cruising was made for love. Oh, I love it when we're cruising together. I love it, I love it, love. Fly away. Oh yeah, let you go my way. Let you go my way. I love it, cruising together. Music was made for love. Cruising is made for love. Made for love. I love it when we're cruising together. Oh, ooh, cruise with me, baby. Oh, baby, let's cruise. Let's float. Let's glide. Ooh, let's surrender and go inside. And if you want it, you got it forever. Oh, I can just stay there beside you and love you, baby. Oh, let the music
I swear to goodness, I don't know what's gotten into my team right now. Can I share what's happening behind the scenes? Because they are terribly trying to disturb my mind, and I don't know what is fueling them. I don't know if it's a spat of sudden creativity or a little bit of boredom, because they keep sending me the weirdest riddles. And I don't know why. Every time they come into my ear and they say to me, Bridget, read here. And I read, and it's the weirdest riddles. Save your riddles. We'll take them on air on a different day. I don't know what's going on with them right now. They get a bit distracted when they're hyper stressed, and this is how they deal with the stress traumas in their life. That was D'Angelo coming through with Cruising. And this song, in fact, was originally, from what I understand, back in 1979. It was actually written and produced for Smokey Robinson via Motown Records. And, of course, D'Angelo has put his own swag and his own spin to it. That was the icon himself, none other than the living legend, Cruising. D'Angelo coming through covering that particular song. It's just gone 2:15 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. I'm still chuckling because, I don't know. Maybe I'm the one that looks stressed and they think that I need something to make me smile a little bit. I'm not sure. But we have our next conversation now, and we're talking around the healing the heart and mind, navigating our way, and of course our feelings through trauma recovery. And we've got Gail Masondo joining us, and Gail is she's a multifaceted woman, a songwriter, an executive producer, an entrepreneur, but also a life in recovery coach and counselor, as well as a published author. And the book is called Now This Feels Like Home. How are you doing this afternoon, Gail?
Hi, Bridget. I hope you're doing better with all of the riddles you say. That can be traumatizing, can it?
Listen, I don't know what they're trying to hint at, because I think we're having a pretty chilled day behind the scenes. But they're busy with the riddles. I'm good though. Thank you for asking, Gail. Thank you for asking, and thank you for carving out some time to have this very important conversation. And I think before anything else, we know that you are a woman with many hats. You wear many hats, but you are a life in recovery coach and counselor. Help my listeners understand, what that exactly entails.
Well, in life we lose a bit of ourselves, and so in recovery, it's recovering what's been lost, what's been stolen, and even what we gave away through either relationships or what we're talking about today through trauma, unresolved issues, unfinished business that causes us not to necessarily be as productive as we could be in life, because it feels like there's a boogeyman hanging around. And then we come to a place where we decide enough is enough, or I want better. And that's where my role comes in. In counseling, it's really it's not curing as much as it is being able to hand someone the torch and say, let's find this path together. Let's get back on track. If that's helpful, let's get back on track.
And I think a lot of what you sort of touch on speaks to the conversation of the day, and maybe even alludes to answering the question of what is emotional trauma.
Well, trauma on its own is scary. It's fearful. It's an experience. It's an event that nearly took away our physical breath, our emotional breath, our spiritual breath. It's horrid in some ways. There's physical trauma, there's emotional trauma, there's mental trauma, there's even spiritual trauma. Things that happen, whether it's the death of a loss of a loved one. There's nothing like standing around a gravesite and trying to come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to hear this voice again. There's something for a new mother to get the news that she has either miscarried or has given birth to a stillborn baby. I get a little traumatized for our matric students here in South Africa because I'm a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And we don't publish grades, in newspapers. We don't do that. So I'm always kind of holding my breath when it comes to November, December. There are many things that can touch our lives and feel like a cold shower, or it can feel like the very wind, the very breath has been taken from us.
And as you talk about sort of the losses and the things that can shake our sense of gravity, in understanding what is emotional trauma, Gail, I also, and I don't know if maybe my connecting the dots is correct here, but I'm kind of thinking that the emotional traumas that we experience breed and these traumas that breed these feelings of whether it be anxiety, depression, loss, etc., all really connect to also what psychologists will term psychological traumas, and that just being the more long-term cause and effect of the collective emotional traumas. Am I connecting the dots correctly or incorrectly?
No. Yeah, you're connecting the dots perfectly. What happens in psychological trauma, depending on personality too. Some personalities take an escape route. I don't want to deal with it. In fact, I'm not going to deal with the loss. So I'll either numb it with shopping till I drop, or eating, going to the refrigerator, or another relationship. Since it's Women's Month, I want to kind of hang around that, we go to porn. We go to anything that will numb the emotional pain. There's reliving is a part of the psychological trauma, reliving the event. And what's interesting here too is we really need to look at the fact that whether we have experienced the trauma personally or we've been a witness to it, it can affect us the exact same way. It affects us physically. Some of us have headaches. Some of us find ourselves not able to sleep. Some of us feel aches and pains. We as women, we carry our stress in our shoulders and our neck. And in our lower back. We find ourselves just unable to come to terms with whatever it is that happened or whatever it is we saw or wherever it is we've heard. The COVID season was traumatizing in the event of we lost so many loved ones. You remember that time where you couldn't even go to the hospital to visit? Or you couldn't go to the graveyard to say goodbye because there were limited a number of individuals who could attend. Many lost their jobs during that time, Bridget, and they haven't been able to recover. The loss of a loved one, the loss of home, a house, the loss of work, the loss of health, all of those set up psychological, not just feelings, but almost like wall building to protect ourselves from ever feeling the way we have felt before.
And so important, I think, when we talk about emotional traumas and when we talk in the context of loss, to also the point that you just made, that it's not just about the finality of death, because people at times want to downplay the other significant life losses that folks go through. But I want to take a quick break and then we'll come back and explore that thinking a little bit more as you listen to my conversation with Gail Masondo. If you have anything to add, you're more than welcome to do so. Our number is open on 086-000-2032.
TV licenses have developed a new GIS-linked national address database to ensure that we can communicate with all our valued license holders. We now have a visual of all licensed and unlicensed households nationwide in order to effectively communicate with you. We remind you to take note of our payment reminders and avoid paying penalties due to non-compliance or choosing to ignore your legal obligation to pay your license fees. We can communicate with all our license holders through cost-effective electronic methods, enabling us to collect license fees and continue to support the national broadcaster, the SABC, in accordance with Section 27 of the Broadcasting Act Number 4 of 1999 as amended. TV licenses. Pay yours. Make a difference.
We can do this. It's been a long time coming. This deserves to grow. It's a great business. If they don't like it, someone else will. And fund me so I can expand. Maybe I can offer them shares. I need to retain equity for staff. It's going to be good for recruitment. Yeah.
Possible begins with that one great idea. When Telkom enables entrepreneurs to make their ingenuity a reality, we grow local economies. Telkom. Possible begins here.
Weeknights on S3 are all about winning, and winning big with Wheel of Fortune. For the first time in South Africa, Wheel of Fortune is on S3, Monday to Friday at 7:30 p.m, where Rorisang has South Africans locked into the world of word puzzles. Watch contestants spin the wheel to stand a chance of walking away with 100,000 Rand, or a car valued at over 500,000 Rand. You can also be part of the show and win big. To be part of the show, log on to wheeloffortunesa.tv and let the wheel decide your fate. Channel your inner wordsmith with Wheel of Fortune SA on S3. Open up.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Are talking around healing our hearts and mind and navigating our way through trauma, and we're looking at emotional trauma. We're going to get into some of the symptoms that we should be on the lookout on. But Gail, before we went to that break, I was saying that it's so important when we have these conversations that we also sort of just lean on emphasizing the losses that are not as final as death. And you touch on just change of, circumstances in life, loss of a relationship, miscarriages, ending of friendships, because I feel as if we oftentimes think that people only have the right to grieve or experience that sense of emotional trauma only if something is as final as death. Or as devastating as, a terminal illness. But it comes in many different categories and experiences that evoke that same sense of finality and that same sense of devastating emptiness.
I know the difference between emotional or physical pain. So it responds the exact same way. And grief is the process. One of the things, Bridget, that we have to be really educated on as a community is the ability to be more sensitive to what's going on around us. When there's been loss of any level of loss, when we say it's going to be okay, you tell a woman who's going through divorce or a man who's going through the divorce, it's like, there's more fishes in the sea. That's toxic positivity. And sometimes we've got to be a little kinder, a little wiser in how we're trying to help one another. We say move on, but we don't really move on until we've dealt completely with the pain that we're feeling. And so what we really want to do is give people the opportunity to move forward. Moving forward means, what are some of the lessons I can take in this painful period so that I can heal properly? Anything done prematurely is just premature. You have to go back and start over. So sometimes sitting in an uncomfortable, emotional space, sitting in the pain, as opposed to trying to go around it, and allowing ourselves, I think the word strong is overrated. We'll see someone sitting at a funeral, and a woman in particular, and we'll say, "Oh my goodness, she's so strong, she didn't even cry." Well, how about she's not? How about she may be on a tranquilizer? How about she's trying to figure out, why am I here? What happened? And so in the community of family and friends, if we could somehow figure out how to walk a mile in the person's shoes who has just lost, meaning try to feel what they're feeling as opposed to, well, this is making me uncomfortable. Tears make me uncomfortable. So let's not talk. Sometimes we're telling people you shouldn't feel bad, as opposed to allowing the process of healing to take its rightful place. There's a time and season for everything, and healing only comes when it's allowed, not forced to move forward. But again, going back to personalities, some people scream when something horrible has happened. Another person may just sit down and just try to collect their thoughts, but that doesn't mean that the trauma is any less impacting. We just all read different.
Absolutely. Let's take a quick pause here for the headline news, and then we'll come back on the other side of this and continue our conversation around emotional traumas.
With headlines at 2:30, I am Dinamo Daung. Good afternoon. Ministers in the Government of National Unity will only sign performance agreements once Parliament has approved the medium-term development plan. In other news, about 106 houses have been handed over by the Jagersfontein Developments Mine to families affected by mine dam collapse in the area in 2022. And City Power has confiscated over 15 kilograms of stolen electrical materials valued at 800,000 rand during an operation in Leratong village informal settlement south of Johannesburg. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Gail, let's talk about the symptoms of, let's talk about the symptoms of trauma and how those might present. And I know obviously every individual and every circumstance is different, but how might those present? And then maybe we could look at how do we then begin to, because you say that trauma touches us deeply both in our minds and our hearts, and we need to discover how uncovering the facts can offer validation and power. And I want to also explore that.
The body keeps score. A psychiatrist wrote this wonderful book, and it talks about how emotional pain undealt with creates, kind of the perfect storm in our bodies, particularly as women. The symptoms can be as small as sleepless nights or as big as suicidal thoughts. Trauma takes a person hostage a lot of the times. And I wanted to go back to this word strong that we've kind of used for when we don't see emotion.
Yeah.
And we say, oh, that person, no, the person is trying to navigate. But if we tell folk, if we glorify strong, then people don't feel comfortable allowing themselves to show their feelings because, maybe they'll be misunderstood as being weak. But, no appetite, loss of appetite rather, the inability to get out of bed, depression sets in, and there are different levels of depression. Some go as far as clinical depression, needing to be hospitalized. Yeah. And then there is the low grade. Michelle Obama gave us permission to use low grade depression. She talks about being in the White House, and you would think at that time she would be ecstatic, but those first few years she was depressed every day walking through. So there are different events, and all events are not horrible from the outside. Meaning, why would Michelle be depressed in the White House?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could look from afar and say, well, she's the first lady of a nation. But if you had a different plan for your life, and then that gets interrupted and you find yourself on another lane, just trying to get back on track, as I mentioned earlier, get back to finding yourself. Bridget, there's so many of us, and again, I just really want to stay on the female gender side of this because this is Women's Month. We feel deeply And that's not to suggest our male counterpart doesn't, but we've been given this sixth sense, this perception, this ability to nurture, this ability to kind of see far ahead issues that could arise. And sometimes we downplay our ability to be wise, to be kind, to have the ability. A man can open the refrigerator, see nothing. We can open it and come up with a full dinner because of skill.
Yeah.
And because of ability in ourselves and our children, not to feel. I should have said earlier on, I'm a Christian counselor, by the way.
Yeah.
And every emotion that we have has been given to us to feel. Anger. There's nothing wrong with being angry. The problem is when we stay angry. There's nothing wrong to being discouraged. It's about staying discouraged. There's nothing wrong about being disappointed. It's when we decide to stay disappointed. And a lot of the times, because trauma has entered our lives in a certain way, we feel like there's nothing else left. And you mentioned, on this side of the grave, we can recover. And everyone recovers differently. And there's no set time frame.
Yeah.
I think we have to be real clear about that. Because of the difference in our personalities, our personal history, how we've been raised, our culture, depends how we will respond or react to traumas that come in our daily life.
Yeah, and then I just want to ask you, by way of wrapping, some of the perhaps strategies, for lack of another word, strategies that we could use as tools to overcome our traumas and to maybe even take that trauma and have it empower us in some way.
Birds of a feather flock together, and one of the things we really want to do is allow spiritually and emotionally mature people in our lives when we've gone through something traumatic. We need to be able to feel comfortable leaning. The other thing is being able to, we say take care of yourself, and a lot of times my counselees will say, what in the world does that mean? And it means eat well. Eat nutritionally sound food. Eat food that's going to give you life, not take life from you. There's nothing wrong with supplement care. Supplement care does not take the place of nutrition. But for women in particular, flaxseed oil, omegas 3, 6, and 9 really help in the way that we are processing mentally and emotionally. Wild oregano oil, cod liver oil capsules. Ashwagandha has become the new buzzword, but it really does help. So supplement care. Also physical, get moving. Whether you're walking, I know everyone runs to the gym, but there's nothing like taking a walk outside. And I know about Hautang. We got to be careful what that means. But being outside, trying to get fresh air, getting in some sunshine, really does help. And the things that bring you joy. When I lived in Gauteng, my favorite spot was Hyde Park Mall, not because I did a lot of shopping, but because of exclusive books. And I would go in there on Tuesday, which would be my mental health day. Everyone needs a mental health day, Bridget. Everybody does. Where it's just you and your thing and what makes you smile. And I would surround myself with magazines, particularly those from home in the States, to just kind of keep up with what was going on. And I would treat myself to lunch, go downstairs to New Metro, take in a movie, and then go home. We have to find ways to fill our cup.
Absolutely.
You gotta find, but don't drown in the cup, but fill the cup.
Gail,
So that
we have to leave it there this afternoon, but thank you so much for that advice. And I definitely think a wellness day is something that a lot of us should consider just to replenish those cups. That was Gail Masondo coming through today, and I hope you got some wisdom from this particular segment. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back on the other side. We're going straight to WhatsApp, 061-410-4107 for our family meeting. The question of the day was, why don't you want to be a stepfather?
18 teams are back on the hunting ground. No one wants a loss or a draw. They are all searching for maximum points in every encounter. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Do not miss out on the 2024-2025 Bundesliga season. Catch the action live on Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
20 outfits of the Premier League are back on the battlefield for another spectacular season, with ambitions to play the world's most competitive and compelling football.
Rodri! City 3! West Ham 1!
This is the massive fight for the ultimate glory.
Caicedo, is he going to try and beat him from inside his own arm? Oh, Moises Caicedo! I can't believe it! What a way to score your first Chelsea goal!
Experience the 2024-2025 Premier League season on Saturdays at 3 p.m. live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SA Women Struggles Journal. Hashtag Women's Month. Celebrating 30 years of democracy towards women's development, SAFM celebrates the power, resilience and brilliance of women. It's Women's Month and we honoring the incredible contributions of women in our communities, our workplaces and our homes. Join SAFM in recognizing the achievements, strengths and spirit of women everywhere. Let's uplift and empower each other today and every day. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Family Meeting on the Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
All right, 061-410-4107. I thought I'd actually sneak in a few of these a little bit earlier on, but the conversations just kept coming. Why don't you want to be a stepdad? Or if you are a stepdad, how's that journey been for you? You can share your perspective based on your real life experiences or maybe just your perceptions as you kiki with your lads over a nice cold beer. Or maybe you've just had really great experiences at being a stepdad. You know, let's go all over with this one. 061-410-4107. Let's go to WhatsApp.
Why I don't want to be a stepfather to a child, or I'm not a fan of being a stepfather of a child or children, is because most of the time the mothers, they use the fact that there's a stepfather in the picture to assist them with the children. They use that as an opportunity to deprive the biological fathers of rights to have a relationship with their children, because already they found a replacement, someone who acts as a father to the children. So that's the reason why when you go to most of the children's court in the country, or most of the courts in the country, you'll find most fathers making applications to have a relationship with their children, because the mothers are denying them rights to have access to their children.
Hi, it's my second stint being a stepdad, and I can tell you it's more misery than anything else. I always advise my best friends who are married, if your wife die or if you should get divorced, to not go for someone who have kids. rather start over, take someone young, give them their own kids, and you will live happily ever after. It's a thankless job being a stepdad, and I will never recommend it to anyone to be in a relationship with other men's kids. So this is Anonymous from Durban.
Bridget, good afternoon. Personally, I wouldn't mind to be the stepdad because I'm old, I'm 50 years old, and I'm divorced. Obviously, when I get the new woman in my life, I have to take care of the child, so I'm not having a problem with that. But before I had my own children, I was afraid to start life with a person with a child. So now I'm prepared for any eventualities. Thank you. Anonymous for now.
Good afternoon, Bridget. This is Makatse from Pretoria. I think our South African fathers, or shall I say males, they don't want to be fathers, period. They want the baby making process, but they don't want to be fathers, let alone stepdads. They just are so afraid of responsibility. They run. Watch Papgeld and watch Utataku. They run.
Being a stepfather, Bridget, is why I don't wanna be a stepfather. It's because you must always be on a gray area when it comes to raising that child. You can't raise your hand or your voice the way you were going to raise when it comes to ukumkhuza endlini when he or she is wrong. The next thing, the child, some of the time, they have these tendencies of saying, because you are not my biological dad, that is why you are so hard on me, or what. Even in future, when the child grows up, you sacrifice everything for that child to be well off. When he or she is old, she goes with that qualification that you helped her financially to receive. Go and look for her father and does everything for the father that was not there.
Good afternoon, Bridget Masinga. One of the most difficult things in life is to be a stepfather. It's so difficult to stay with a woman or to be in love with a woman who has children. In our culture, it's totally unacceptable. And it's really difficult because these kids, when they grow up, graduate, get, executive position or become successful, they'll just tell you straight away, you are not my father. So, I can't. I can't. At least a woman with one child. It's better. Not 2 or 3. Thank you, Bridget. Let me close my case.
It's the caveats for me that come with the comments, right? So you're okay with being a stepdad with a woman that's got one child because you can handle one child telling you that you're not my dad in a couple of years, but you can't handle 2 or 3. I don't know. Listen, I'm not here to judge. We thought we'd throw this at guys because you guys always say that as women, we don't really listen to y'all. We don't hear your perspective. And we know we've got a lot of male listeners on this particular show. And so we thought we'd throw it out to you, and your experiences are valid if these are your real life experiences. Like the gentleman who said he's a 2-time stepdad. I'm presuming this is your second stint, as you say, at being a stepdad, but you would advise your friends not to be with women that have children and rather take a young wife and start all over again. But clearly your first experience didn't deter you, because here you are again with a woman who's got children and you're a stepfather the second time around. So there must be some positives to it somewhere. And I think it comes with hardships, right? Because relationships come with hardships, and you spoke a lot about women, and maybe there's something there for women to also take stock of I believe that the people who were in the initial union and had the child need to be mature enough in their relationship after it crumbles and fades off for them to find some kind of working understanding that serves for the betterment of everybody in the situation, and then they set the tone for their partners, and then the four of you as a collective then come together. At first it might be a bit difficult and tricky, but I don't know, I'm an optimist when it comes to this, because I think it might be a bit difficult and tricky at first, but if the parents can get it together, then the parents then model and communicate to the children what those relationships are going to be, and then you probably would have a great positive. One of my producers was raised by her stepfather, and I only make that distinction for the purpose of this conversation, but he's been her dad her entire life, and they have the most wonderful relationship from what I hear. The most incredible relationship. And, and I think he would concur if he could call us and share his perspective of being a stepdad. But I wish you all well in your journeys, and I appreciate y'all sharing this. We have to get into our final conversation now. I know there's so many voice notes around this conversation, but maybe we'll double back and we'll have it again at a different time, and maybe this time we'll even invite maybe a marital counselor or a family psychologist just to help navigate, because I think it starts with the parents first. It starts with the two people that were initially in the original relationship that gave birth to a child, and then the other people that get invited into the relationships when those initial relationships fail. They must then figure it out as mature adults, and that will dictate how good or bad your experience is. So those guys who said that maybe women have a bigger role to play in this, I think they have a point, that maybe you have a bigger role to play in this. Gia Whitehead, how are you, Gia? You good?
Hi, yes, thank you. I'm well. Thanks for having me.
I'm great. Thank you for being on the line. Gia is the CEO of, is it Tsiba, Gia?
Tsiba, yes.
Tsiba, yes. Let's reflect back on the challenges that women face in investment and financial industries. And these are environments that are typically male-dominated. When we think about, financial sectors and industries, we really have a picture of men in blue suits dominating these particular spaces. So I can imagine that it's not an easy environment for a woman to firstly assert herself in, let alone find dominance and success.
Yeah, so I think that is still the reality. We do, we have many years still to go where we have women in positions of leadership, and particularly in the financial space. But we just hosted a beautiful conversation where we're actually, there are a lot more women than you think, but they're just not in sort of the trading or the money management spaces. They're in sort of more of the administration or operational roles. And so it's really about finding a way to fast track and create more powerful women into senior leadership positions.
Yeah.
So I think it is still a challenge. Firstly, it's a lot about access, but I think it's really important to have mentors and coaches and to try and drive and change that participation and gender parity in the sector.
And why is it that, women are sort of struggling to find space within the trading and money management sort of categories of the sector?
So I don't think it's anything about ability. I think it's maybe around confidence and just being able to step into a room where they're probably the only women in that space and taking the lead and showing that they have that capacity. But it's also okay to have your purpose and fly in the other areas of the investment asset management space. But to encourage, I think it's that confidence and also to change sort of the landscape of the businesses in terms of the way they drive their conversations and bringing more voices into the room. And it's actually up to the women to create that space for future women to be able to step into it.
And when we talk about sort of persistent barriers to achieving gender equity and equality in these sectors, what are some of the conversations that are being had?
So I think it's really important, obviously, again, about education, because if you don't have the knowledge, you can't really step up and prove yourself and show that you can do it. But it's also having more women support other women, so that like inclusion becomes the norm.
Yeah.
And bringing them into that. What's really important is to also build wealth and creation and share that with others for future women to come.
Let's also explore sort of, when you talk about women mentorship and women creating these spaces, is there a sense that because one has had to fight so hard to get in as a woman and to make a success and to climb the corporate ladder, take up a position of leadership, that perhaps there is, I don't know if there is time to look back at younger women and extend a hand of support and mentorship, or it's a sense of maybe even changing the mentality. The legal fraternity, for instance, challenges women in the sense of wanting to be the first and only in a space.
Yes, I think there's a bit of both. I think one is being a role model and making the effort to just hold out a hand and bring someone up along with you. But then it's also around policy and getting, the government decisions and company decisions and policies to allow women to take on that role. So it's a mixture of that. And we look at the reality is that, beyond the financial returns, women are also more likely to bring in sustainability and the humanness conversations, and around giving back into the corporate and financial space than men are. And so it's important to kind of leverage that. And these days people are choosing organizations that do have more purpose and do create spaces for these sort of opportunities.
I also want to ask you, Gia, because women have very specific needs, right? And they play very specific roles societally and within the familial structure. It also somehow speaks to the flexibility and what support looks like for a woman who is on a career trajectory but still needs to be a wife and a mother and occupy all these different spaces. What does that sort of supportive structure within the investment and finance structure, what does it consider, if it considers women at all, and how that needs to be structured and considered differently to males? A woman doesn't necessarily have 14 hours to be chasing clients or to be building portfolios, because the assumption socially is that she's got other things to do after 6 o'clock that require her focus and her sort of her focus and her attention.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right, and that's still the reality. And while flexible work arrangements and other benefits like extended maternity leave and all things can reduce that sort of turnover, the reality is that women do still play those other roles on top of the normal hours. And that does limit and impede that career advancement. But we're seeing more and more women who are able to they break away and maybe create their own businesses. And so they still play significant roles in this space, but in a way that they feel they can actually do better by doing it themselves. So branching out, starting their own investment arms, their own businesses, and in a way that the flexibility allows, and actually ends up financially doing better because they don't have a male or someone else making a decision about what their pay is going to be. So we're seeing shifts in that, but not necessarily in moving out of limiting their careers. It's just creating more opportunities for them to grow, and so we see a lot of that shift.
And by way of programs, initiatives, are there any sort of out there that speak to everything that we've spoken about, that isolate women, create networks of support, networks of mentorship, where women can access either themselves or even allies within the males in these sectors to help guide and navigate?
Yes, so I mean, it starts, our organization, SEBA, we're a business school, but we provide opportunities for women to really understand themselves, their strong sense of purpose, and ways that they can, inspire and empower others to ignite that inclusion within themselves and their community. So we do that first through the knowledge space and the business world and opening networks. But then there's around ongoing conversations that create all pathways to mentors, to move into real business experiences and workplaces as internships to be employed. So we do that, but there are many other networks and opportunities with women driving those conversations. There, women in the finance world coming together, connecting, and I think it really is about collaboration. And creating role models in spaces where women can feel they're not alone and they face the same challenges, and how they can leverage and use their networks as well as their, the power and as they build confidence to take it further for future generations and women.
Yeah. Gia Whitehead, thank you so much for the time today. Gia is the CEO of SEBA, and of course, you can find them if you are in the investment and finance world. SEBA is a business school, and they, they indulge in many conversations that affect women in these specific sectors. And in fact, they'll be hosting a Women in Finance conference to celebrate Women's Month. Maybe we will tweet out the details to that, since we didn't get around to talking about it. That's it from myself and my team this afternoon. Thank you so much for choosing to be in conversation with us. We don't take it lightly. Ashraf is coming through straight after the news. Inshallah, God willing, we do it again tomorrow.
Top stories: timeline set for cabinet performance agreements, and Jagersfontein mine dam wall collapse victims get new houses. With the news, I'm Dino Mutaung. Good afternoon. Ministers in the Government of National Unity will only sign performance agreements once Parliament has approved the medium-term development plan. This is according to President Cyril Ramaphosa in a written reply to a parliamentary question from EFF MP Mzwanele Manyi. The plan is